Hi guys, so I hope you enjoyed my little teaser video earlier showing my little pod racer, as it's obviously May the 4th today. Well, I have to apologise in that one, I've already just said it already. The amount of times I said obviously in that video was just crazy. Obviously. Yeah, so obviously I can't help but say it now. Yeah, so this video I'm going to show how I've turned obviously all these lovely sprues. Again, many thanks to all you guys for sending these in. There's no way I would be able to make these kind of videos with sprues because I haven't got that many that many box sets of stuff from Warhammer stuff. So yeah, really appreciate you guys sending in all these sprues, as it means the whole of this month I can make all my builds using these things, which is pretty awesome. So obviously what we're here for today, I can't help but say it, is this little fella. So a little pod racer. Yeah, May the 4th, Star Wars Day, a film that I've thoroughly enjoyed. Well, I certainly enjoyed the first three that came out obviously many moons ago when I was a little kid. The latter ones, they're alright, but yeah, the first three were fantastic. So yeah, so obviously a little pod racer with Crazy Dave, little orc in there, and this is a different Crazy Dave because this one's a proper seated one with a steering wheel, and he's got a little present for people he sees. So without further ado, let's crack on and show how I made, or how I turned these into this. Okay guys, let's get on with it. So this build uses a lot of sprue goo, as basically I made up some moulds and then cast all these little pieces yeah, using the sprue goo. So I took a whole variety of objects, bits and pieces I'd lying around, basically as though almost I was going to scratch build something. I took a lot of plastic bits, made some moulds, and yeah, cast these bits using sprue goo. I am going to make a video showing how I cast all these parts and all the moulds and etc. But that will be just a patron only video. So if you're interested in supporting the channel and becoming a patron, yeah, click on the link down below. So I've also 3D printed a base that I'm going to start using in a lot of my builds. So this one's 3D printed, but I am going to make a mould of this and then cast it in resin. So basically I can have loads of bases all the same size. So yeah, I had a rough idea of how I wanted to make the engines of this. I took a load of plastic bits and pieces, then made moulds of them, and then cast them using the sprue goo. So obviously the sprue goo is not too bad, doesn't come out as well as obviously resin does. It does have a few little potholes and bits and pieces here and there, but for this kind of build, and again it's going to be for an orc, it's going to work out fine. I'm going to be using the wire from this coat hanger just to obviously support this this little vehicle. The sprue glue is not too bad when it dries, but for this I'm not sure how well it would hold up the actual pod racer and obviously the other engine. So yeah, good old coat hanger wire, which is really firm and sturdy, is what I'm going to be using for this. And I buy these from Poundland, so they're nice and cheap, and I think I get about a dozen of them. So there we go, it's a case of bending it into shape. And once this is, I'm going to drill a little hole in this plastic bottom bit, glue this thing in, and then yeah, it's going to be nice and secure and strong, and it'll take the weight of the body of the pod racer as well as the other engine, which I'm going to have sort of like up in the air. As these parts I've casted are quite big and thick, they're still relatively soft, so it's easy to drill a little hole in it, or basically push a hole in it, and sort of manipulate the wire through the things. So the thicker the sprue goo is, obviously the longer it takes for it to sort of fully dry out or harden. How you want to say it really, obviously the acetone in there evaporates. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a Q&A video soon, as I do get quite a few questions about the sprue goo and how long it lasts, how long it takes to turn into the soft stuff, and all kinds of other good questions like that. So I will be doing a video soon guys. If you have got any comments or questions even, leave them in the comments section and I'll be able to include the answers hopefully to those in the video I'm going to be making in about a week or two's time. So yeah, I've got my little Crazy Dave here and I'm going to have him sitting in this little pod bit. So I cast this piece a few days ago, so this has gone pretty hard. So I'm using a little Dremel just to drill out a few bits, just so I can accommodate little Crazy Dave and he'll be able to sit in there nicely. So this sprue glue, once it does fully dry and goes back to being the solid hard plastic, it is pretty good to sort of sand, drill, and do whatever you need to do to it really. And there we go, Crazy Dave sits in there nicely. I will be adding a few more bits to obviously the little Podracer bit he's sitting in, but I'm still waiting for lots of bits to to fully cure and kind of harden. So while that's happening, I can then go onto the base, and I'm just going to add some more of these little stones. I think these are basically fish stones, or stones for a fish tank even. So they're nice and cheap. I've got a huge big bag of them, and they're great for like rubble, debris, or just generally using in this case just to make a sort of like a sandy base. Although it's a bit of obviously like a rocky sandy base. So as I'm in no rush for these to dry, I'm just going to use normal PVA glue, and then yeah, sprinkle them all over the place basically. So while going through the boxes of sprues that you guys have been sending in, there's this small little off-cut piece of obviously this like luminous green. So yes, I thought I'd have a go at sticking this in some acetone, and well, basically seeing if this turns into a goo and whether or not it can be used and will dry out and harden. So I know a lot of you guys are interested in seeing this works or not. So yeah, stick around to the end of the video to find out basically. So I want to add a few wires and bits and pieces to this build. So I'm just using this little plastic syringe full of sprue goo. And yeah, as you can see, I can make some nice thin lines with it. And once these dry, harden out, then yeah, these will make some good wires or tubes. Yeah, or whatever I need them to be really. So some of the parts I cast came out better than others. And yeah, so ones that didn't come out too well, basically I had to go recasting them several times, and then I could just choose which one came out the best. Obviously as in like more detail than the rest of it. So yes, I'm pretty pleased with how this one came out, and glued this piece on. And then using the goo again, I can basically use that as a kind of a filler or a joiner, just to sort of like get rid of any gaps, cracks. And in this case, obviously it's kind of like helping join one piece smoothly to the other. So yeah, sprue goo is pretty awesome, guys. And there you go, you can barely see the join between the two pieces. I think it's come out pretty good. And yeah, just add a few more bits and pieces to it. And then we got this. So yeah, I don't know exactly what a Podracer should look like. I mean, they're basically all kinds of shapes and sizes and looks and things. And yeah, this is obviously Dave the Crazy Orcs homemade one, I think. Oh, yeah, need a bit more glue on that. So yeah, to stick it in place. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how this is coming on. Yeah, I'm liking the look of the engines as well. Obviously going to be nice big thrusters. So a few more bits and pieces glued on. Again, most of these pieces that I'm using were just sort of plastic bottles, lids, and a few tyres I think I've used. So yeah, basically whatever I could find around the house. And I kind of imagined if I was scratch building it, the kind of pieces I would want to make the engine. And yeah, just sort of cast those pieces, made moulds of them, and then cast them in the sprue goo. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how they've come out. Again, obviously when these things dry, they do leave little potholes, cracks, and sometimes the full sort of mould hasn't sort of come out. But for this kind of like self-built Podracer, all these little indentations, dents, nooks, crannies, all the bits and pieces kind of go to making it look how it does. So obviously one more thing I need to put on here really before I start painting, and obviously that is a few little panels that, well, repair panels basically. And I like to make my little rivets by using my sharp blunt tool and pushing obviously from one side, it kind of pushes out on the other. Trying to get it in focus. So there we go, you can just about see there are like little indentations, and yeah, they work really well for like small little rivets basically. So yes, that's pretty cool. So I'm certainly liking how this is looking now. I say I do love the big old jet engines, they're looking pretty cool. And obviously the little I think it's like an electricity sort of thing that's meant to be going between the two, and it kind of keeps them together. So this is the last thing to really sort of like add before I crack on and get onto the painting bit. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the painting bit. I'm going to keep it kind of simple, as I want it to look more like metal. Obviously the little Podracer bit that he's going to be sitting in will be a kind of a red. As we all know, red makes things go faster, or certainly that's how orcs believe anyway. So yeah, I've primed it in a black spray, and yeah, I'm pleased with how that's come out. And yeah, so for the jet engines, basically I'm just going to go round, do a little bit of dry brushing. I did think about painting the whole thing silver, but then I think it would look sort of too neat, too clean and crisp. where I was using the black as an undercoat and then just doing a bit of dry brushing with the silver on top. Obviously it gives the impression that it is made of metal, but it looks a little bit more distressed, a bit more used, certainly worn looking. And it's certainly an effect that I kind of like. And as usual, it's nice and easy. I do like it to be easy and, again, a bit of fun, because I do want to start enjoying the painting bit. And for the base, obviously this is meant to be on some sort of like distant planet somewhere or other. So I'm just using this kind of, well, it's a bit of a mixture between orange and brown, I guess. So yeah, that's going to come out quite well. And for obviously the main body, so I was going to do it in a red, although it's coming out looking a bit pink in the video. But trust me, this is more red than anything else. But yeah, I'm going to go over it in a sort of a dry brush like this, and then I think I'm going to use one of the red contrast paints that I've got, just to go over it all afterwards, just to give it a bit more of a red look, basically. And then for the base, yeah, I'm just going to give it a bit more of a wash. I think this one's well, more like a brownish wash, I guess. And yeah, obviously I want to make sure the miniature hobbyist sign stands out nice and proud. So again, I'm going to be doing a bit of light dry brushing with silver, just so that stands out. And then the background bits I will go over with some black, basically. So yeah, the last sort of thing to do, again, because it's an orc build, and I've got this bulbous thing on the front, which I kind of, well, I don't like it and I don't dislike it, it's just sort of there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it even more obvious by drawing on it the checkered flag look. And I always find the easiest way to do this is to paint whatever it is I'm going to be making checkered flag with the white, and then basically using one of these Sharpies to go over it. Just as this is a lot easier and, well, possibly neater than me trying to do this with a paintbrush, basically. And then I can just go in, filling in the obviously alternate squares, yeah, with the black. And because this is quite of a permanent marker, it kind of goes on most things. So yeah, I think it works really well for this. And I say, even though it's not perfect, it's still a lot better than if I was to try and do this with any kind of size paintbrush, basically. Okay guys, that's it kind of complete. Let's see some glamour shots, but don't forget to stick around to the end to see if the luminous green see-through sprue has turned into ooey gooey sprue stuff. Okay, the moment of truth. Do I have clear green goo sprue? And the answer is yes. It has gone into goo. And yeah, it's looking very luminous in here, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it looks exactly like the goo normally does. Unfortunately, I've run out of time to actually cast this in anything, just to see if it does harden and go back to how it looked before. But I will be doing that, and that will be shown in a upcoming video, basically. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that one, guys. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to click on that like button. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button up the top there. And if you want to help support the channel, become a patron just over here. And there's another video just over here, so you can see more of what I do. Okay guys, that's it. Bye for now.